Welcome to Sext. This is Sext, spiritual space at the noon hour. We're coming to you in this season every Thursday for a pastoral check-in. Hi. I see a couple of people. Hey, Kiana. Hey, Aspen. Hello, everyone. Checking in on one another today, hoping for a little spiritual pick-me-up during this crazy season of life. Hang on, let me close some windows here. I feel like there we go. Hey, Bill and Naomi. Hey, y'all. So I had a whole plan for what I was going to do today, which was, and I'll have to do it later, I guess, which was to mention some things that I did not get to in my sermon on Sunday, because the topic of body image and spirituality, and as it relates to diet culture, and it's such a huge topic. There's so many layers and nuances, and I only had I think I went 26 minutes, and that was really longer than I wanted to go. So I'll save that for another day, because today we're all, I think, many of us, reeling from the news that came out yesterday of the lack of indictments for the of the murderers of Breonna Taylor, who was murdered in her home, and her killers are getting off scot-free with no repercussions at all. We don't feel surprised about this reality, but we still feel lament and grief and sadness, and these are things that we need to work through. So I'm just going to tell you something that I've done this week. I've written 3 laments this week. I'm in the process of getting them posted up on my website, which is franpratt.com. So if you need some help doing lament in your own home, in your context, you can check that out. I don't have them all posted yet. I was working on that before I got to this moment here. So instead of what I was going to say, you get a sermon. Okay? You get a sermon. Here we go. Here's the sermon. You're blessed when you're at the end of your rope. With less of you, there's more of God and God's rule. You're blessed when you feel you've lost what is most dear to you. Only then can you be embraced by the one most dear to you. You're blessed when you're content with just who you are, no more, no less. That's the moment when you find yourselves proud owners of everything that can't be bought. You're blessed when you've worked up an appetite for God. God's food and drink are the best meal you'll ever eat. You're blessed when you care. At the moment of being careful, you find yourselves cared for. You're blessed when you get your inside world, your mind and your heart put right. Then you can see God in the outside world. You're blessed when you can show people how to cooperate instead of compete or fight. That's when you discover who you really are and your place in God's family. You're blessed when your commitment to God provokes persecution. The persecution drives you even deeper into God's kingdom. And not only that, my friends, count yourselves blessed every time people put you down or throw you out or speak lies about you. What it means is that the truth is too close for comfort and they are uncomfortable. You can be glad when that happens. Give a cheer even. For though they don't like it, God does, and all heaven applauds. And know that you're in good company. Let me tell you why you're here. You're here to be salt seasoning that brings out the God flavors of this earth. If you lose your saltiness, my friends, how will people taste godliness? You've lost your usefulness and you will end up in the garbage. Here's another way to put it. You're here to be light. bringing out the God colors in the world. God is not a secret to be kept. We're going public with this, as public as a city on a hill. And if God makes us light bearers, do you think we're going to hide under a bucket? No, we stand on a stand. And we shine, and we keep an open house, generous with our lives. Because by opening up to others, we prompt them to open up to God. You're familiar with the old command, do not murder. I'm telling you that anyone who is so much as angry with a brother or sister is guilty of murder. Carelessly call a brother idiot, and you just might find yourself hauled to court. Thoughtlessly yell stupid at a sister, and you are on the brink of hellfire, because the simple moral fact is that words kill. This is how I want you to conduct yourself in these matters. If you enter some place of worship and about to make an offering, you suddenly remember a grudge that a friend has against you, abandon your offering. Run. Leave immediately and go make things right. Then come back and make things right with God. And don't say anything you don't mean. This counsel is embedded deep in our traditions. You only make things worse when you lay down a smoke screen of pious talk saying, I'll pray for you, thoughts and prayers, and never doing it, saying, God be with you, and not meaning it. You don't make your words true by embellishing them with religious lace, making your speech sound more pious. It becomes less true. Just say yes and no. And here's another old saying that deserves another look. Eye for eye, tooth for tooth. Is that going to get us anywhere at all in this moment? Here's what I propose. Don't hit back at all. If someone strikes you, stand there and take it. If someone drags you into court and sues you for the shirt off your back, gift wrap your best coat and make a present of it. And if someone takes unfair advantage of you, use the occasion to practice the servant life. No more tit for tat stuff. Live generously. You're familiar with the old law. Love your friend and its unwritten companion, which is hate your enemy. I'm challenging that here and now. I'm telling you to love your enemies. Let them bring out the best in you, not the worst. When someone gives you a hard time, respond with the energies of prayer, for then you are working out of your true selves, your God-created true selves. This is what God does. God gives God's best, the sun to warm and the rain to nourish, to everyone regardless, to the good, the bad, the nice, and the nasty. If all you do is love the lovable, do you expect bonus points? Anybody can do that. If you simply say hello to those who greet you, do you expect a pat on the back? Anybody can do that. In a word, what I'm saying is grow up. You are kingdom subjects, so live like it. Live out your God-created identity. Live generously and graciously toward others the way that God lives toward you. And be especially careful when you're trying to be good so that you don't make a performance out of it. It might be good theater, but the God who made you won't be applauding. When you do something for someone else, don't call attention to yourself. You've seen them in action, I'm sure. Play actors, we call them. Treating prayer meeting and street corner alike as a stage. acting compassionate as long as someone's watching, playing to the crowds, and they get applause, true, but that's all they get. When you help someone out, don't think about how it looks. Just do it quietly and unobtrusively. That's the way your God, who conceived you in love, working behind the scenes, helps you out. And when you come before God, don't turn that into a theatrical production either. All these people making a regular show out of their prayers and their thoughts and their piousness, hoping for stardom. Do you think that God sits in a box seat? Here's what I want you to do. Find a quiet place, somewhere secluded, so that you won't be tempted to role play before God. Just be there simply as honestly as ever you can manage. And the focus will shift from you to God, and you will begin to sense the grace of God. The world is full of so-called prayer warriors who are prayer ignorant. They're full of formulas and programs and advice, peddling techniques for getting you what you want from God. And don't fall for that nonsense. This is God you're dealing with. And God knows better than you know what you need. With a God like this loving you, you can pray really simply, just like this. Our parent in heaven, reveal who you are. Set the world right. Do what's best, as above, so below. Keep us alive with 3 square meals. Keep us forgiven with you and forgiving others. Keep us safe from ourselves and from evil. You're in charge, God. You can do anything you want. You're ablaze in beauty. Yes. Yes. Amen. And don't hoard treasure down here where it gets eaten by moths and corroded by rust or worse, stolen by burglars. Stockpile treasure in the heavenly realm where it's safe from all that. It's obvious, isn't it? The place where your treasure is the place where you most want to be and where you end up being. Your eyes are the windows into your body. And if you open your eyes wide in wonder and belief, then your body fills up with light. If you live squinty-eyed in greed and distrust, your body is a dank cellar. If you pull the blinds on your windows, what a dark life you'll have. You can't worship 2 gods at once. Loving one God, you'll end up hating the other. Adoration of one feeds contempt for the other. You can't worship God and money both. If you decide for God, living a life of God, attention. It follows that you don't fuss about what's at on the table at meal times, or whether the clothes in your closet are in fashion. There's far more to life, my friends, than the food you put in your stomach, more to your outer appearance than the clothes you hang on your body. Look at the birds, free and unfettered, not tied down to a job description or an ego identity, careless in the care of God. You count far more to God than birds do. Give your entire attention to what God is doing right now, and don't get worked up about what may or may not happen tomorrow. God will help you deal with whatever hard things come when the time comes. Don't be critical of people. Don't pick on people or jump on their failures, unless, of course, you want the same treatment. That critical spirit has a way of boomeranging. It's easy to see a smudge on your neighbor's face and be oblivious to the ugly sneer on your own. Do you have the nerve to say, let me wash your face for you, when your own face is distorted with contempt? It's this whole traveling roadshow mentality all over again, playing a holier than thou part instead of just living your own part. Wipe that ugly sneer off your face. You might be fit to offer a washcloth to your neighbor. Here's a simple rule of thumb guide for behavior. Ask yourself what you want people to do for you, and then grab the initiative and do it for them. Add up all the laws of God and all the laws of the prophets. This is what you get. Don't look for shortcuts to God. The market is flooded with surefire, easygoing formulas for a successful life that can be practiced in your spare time. Don't fall for that stuff, even though crowds of people do. The way to life, the way to God, is vigorous and requires total attention. These words I speak to you are not incidental additions to your life. They're not homeowner improvements to your standard of living. They are foundational words, words to build a life on. Amen. So if you didn't figure it out, that was me reading the Sermon on the Mount. Almost word for word from the Message translation, translated by Eugene Peterson. And I took that out of the playbook of the Reverend Dr. Amy Butler. I felt like today, if ever there was a day that we needed to hear the Sermon on the Mount, it's today, and it's this week, that we need to come back to our center. What is it that we're actually doing? Who is it that we're actually following? We're following the Jesus who preached the Sermon on the Mount. I'm going to get emotional just thinking about it. What are we doing here? We're following the Jesus who preached the Sermon on the Mount. Yeah. Amen.